Am I the a-hole for being surly, rude, and mean at the wedding and leaving early? Am I the a-hole for canceling my son's birthday party upon discovering that he ruined his stepbrother's deceased brother's hoodie? Am I the a-hole for making a punny wall of shame for people who stole from my mom's garden? Am I the a-hole for being surly, rude, and mean at the wedding and leaving early? I was asked to be a member of the wedding party. Despite this, I was the only person, not only in the wedding party but also at the ceremony, who wasn't allowed to have a +1. This was an outdoor wedding with unlimited seating, and these people don't give a shit about COVID, so it wasn't about that. I was told it was because my relationship wasn't serious enough despite us being together for a year, that only engaged or married couples were invited, and that they didn't want some random guy in their wedding pictures who I might not even be with later in the future. They don't want to have to look at some random guy in their pictures, even though he wouldn't have been in any of those post pictures at all. Maybe just in the background of crowd shots. There have been no conflicts between them and my boyfriend, and he's a nice and mild-mannered guy who gets along with everyone, so I don't think it was about him personally. I get to the ceremony and find out that literally everyone else has a +1, not just married couples, but there are couples there who have been dating for less time than me. This is when I started feeling surly. I smiled and played my part during the ceremony, but inside I was very surly and angry. We then got to the reception, which had way more people than the ceremony. This is where all the more distant friends were invited, and everyone there had a +1. I was literally placed at the table as the one single person, and everyone else at the table was a couple. Some at the table were other members of the wedding party, but others were random distant acquaintances. People started asking me where my boyfriend was, and I said I was told he wasn't invited. They asked why, and I said I had no idea why. This is when I started letting my surliness show and started acting rude and mean because I was humiliated. And then, I was brought into the conversation with the couple's male friend, Dean. I was previously told that Dean has a crush on me, and I made it clear I wouldn't be interested even if I were single. Even after that, he kept trying to message me and I ignored him. But now the people who brought me into conversation with Dean were like standing around staring at us and giggling behind their hands, like they thought they were Cupid matchmakers. Dean was absolutely a participant in this. I was meaner to Dean than I've ever been to anyone in my entire life. I was as fully rude as I've ever wanted to be when being the target of someone's romantic interest unwantedly. It's true I don't really know if I was being set up, but I was already furious before that happened. Everyone was silent and awkward. I went back and finished my meal, and as soon as I was done, picked up my purse and left and went straight to my boyfriend's house, skipping most of the reception, cake cutting, speeches, and everything. I'm now being told by the couple that they're hurt and confused why I left so early. I haven't replied. Am I the a-hole for canceling my son's birthday party upon discovering that he ruined his stepbrother's deceased brother's hoodie? It's a complex situation, but I'll do my best to explain. I, male 45, have a bio son Leo, 16, from my previous relationship. I married his stepmom, who is a mother of 2 boys. Connor, 20, deceased, and Derek, 12. I've never had the pleasure to meet Connor, who tragically passed away from a motorcycle accident. Derek was so devastated by this loss, and although it's been years, he's still pretty much grieving. I've seen tons of pictures and videos of Connor and made efforts to get to know who he was as a way to share Derek's grief and be there for him, to lend an ear and a comforting shoulder. It's safe to say that Derek and I grew a strong bond in no time. But my son Leo isn't close to Derek. Understandable, because not all siblings and step-siblings are the same. Leo and Derek are different in everything, which isn't a bad thing, but Leo calls himself the brutally honest type and makes insensitive comments about Derek most of the time. They tend to be under the guise of advice. Derek never complained, so I had to step in and tell Leo to stop being insensitive towards his stepbrother, especially with everything regarding Connor and his memory. Leo would say, "Okay, I get it, and I won't do it again." Days ago, Leo wanted to hang out with friends and asked Derek if he wanted to join. Derek agreed and put on Connor's hoodie before going out. Leo commented on the hoodie and called it ugly and asked him to put on something else, but Derek insisted on wearing it or not go. Leo dropped it. Hours later, Derek came home crying with his hoodie in hand. He said Leo and friends cut it into pieces while he was in the bathroom after they convinced him to take it off. I was furious. I asked Leo and he said it was his friend's idea, then said he had to do it since Derek wears it everywhere and it looked old and embarrassing. I reminded him who this hoodie belonged to and she said, "So what? Maybe this will help him move on in life." I told him his birthday was cancelled and his friends aren't welcome anymore. He pitched a fit saying his birthday was a right, not a privilege, and I can't cancel it. He had my ex criticize my decision and wanted to host his birthday party, but I refused because he's grounded, so no party anywhere. She and her family called me awful and ridiculous and asked me to think how Leo will hate me for this, but I insisted he needed punishment for putting his stepbrother through this. Note: the hoodie belonged to Connor when he was younger and Derek kept it. Am I the a-hole for making a punny wall of shame for people who stole from my mom's garden? My mom is really into gardening, and sometimes people have come by and stole potted plants, yard statuettes, and even dug whole plant bulbs with plants out of the ground. Or cut all the roses off her bushes because they were too cheap to buy from the florist, I guess. Anyway, my dash cam of my car, which I parked in the driveway near the garden bed, caught most all of them close up, and as a way to help my mom not have her plants stolen, I printed all their pictures out and made a poster that said, "Oh hey there, don't be a daffodil and steal, or else you might end up doing hard time. We hope this'll be a lesson to you." And I put the pictures of everyone stealing from the garden around the border. Also gave each person a funny fake name. Mr. Potato Head, Dilettante, Pothead, Prick, Sucker, I Peony in my pants, Frondless, Dirtbag, Infertile, and Root Boy. I thought it was funny and cutesy, like how you can be offended with dumb plant puns. My mom thought it was hilarious and wanted me to hang it up because she was sick of seeing stuff stolen. But I got a couple of complaints. One neighbor said I needed to take it down because I had a picture of his son, a minor, who did something dumb, yes, but was just trying to bring his sick girlfriend flowers, and that it was disproportionate and rude to publicly shame him. I told him that it wasn't that big of a deal and he told me that I was being petty. I called his kid a little birch, which pissed him off and honestly might have been petty. Another guy came to the house and returned a cutting his wife apparently took to propagate, thinking it would be no big deal. But yeah, it damaged the plant because she cut like a quarter off. And he asked if we'd take down the sign because she was on the board of directors or something from the town and whatever. My mom had answered the door and told him to make like a bee and buzz off. Anyway, I guess they both know each other and now both these families are annoyed. Am I the a-hole for making a petty sign about people stealing from my mom's garden? Hoping to get them to stop.